Hebrew and Arab cultures have always had a very colorful tradition when it comes to curses and name-calling, especially in the time of Jesus. Some of the ones that I remember having been told to me in one of my classes was, "May the fleas of 1,000 camels infest your armpits." "May all your teeth fall out of your mouth except for one, and in that one may you have a toothache." This one's kind of similar to the first. "May your head be full of lice, and your arms too short to scratch it." Maybe when you were a kid, you remember saying, "Sticks and stones can break my bones, but names can never hurt me." Right? Well, when people would call you names, maybe you would say that. But in Jesus' time, he was the recipient of people calling him names and giving him curses. But in that time, it was more detrimental. He was called names like blasphemer. He was called names like a drunkard and a glutton and an insurrectionist, sorcerer. In today's gospel, he had two more added to his list that were detrimental. One was, he's out of his mind. He's crazy. And the other one, he's Beelzebul. These things were serious. Let's look at these just real quick. The first one. This one was claimed by his own family. Now in Mark's gospel, this comes early on. This is only chapter 3, so we have to kind of understand where Jesus' family is coming from. They probably don't understand yet what's happening here. And they're afraid for Jesus. First of all, he's left the security of his family and home and his job. Many people didn't have the security of a job. He was a carpenter. He left all of that to be an itinerant preacher. They probably didn't understand that. And then they were afraid for his safety. Now he was confronting the religious authorities, the scribes and others besides. They were afraid for his life. And so they were using a tactic similar to what we might hear in our own day and age. They were saying he's out of his mind. It was similar to what we would say by reason of insanity. To save his life, give him back to us. And also not just for his life, but maybe even their own, because sometimes retribution in that time was not limited just to the individual, but sometimes it was to the whole family. And if not their lives, certainly the honor of their name. And then the religious authorities. They saw Jesus as a threat. And so they were going to label him, name call him. This is serious. They're going to call him Beelzebul, prince of demons. Now, they were probably also using the pejorative of that, Beelzebub, which means Lord of the flies or Lord of the manure pile. They were really laying it on him. Because why? They were trying to discredit him. They were trying to get rid of any credibility of him. They were mudslinging. But Jesus responds in a way that probably the best way that I could describe it is to say, Two wrongs don't make a right. You ever heard that before? Two wrongs don't make a right. This is how he is responding, both in word and in action. In word, he's showing the fault of the logic. Look, Satan isn't going to be against Satan. Evil is not going to conquer itself. Your logic is all wrong. Two wrongs is not going to make a right. But even more to the point than that, I want us to look at is how he responds in action. Not just in words, but in action. They're mudslinging at him. They're throwing names and labeling him. But Jesus isn't doing the same. He's naming the evil, but he's not calling names. He's not doing the same. He's not calling them names. You know, it's like saying that the end does not justify the means. He's showing us by way of his example that the means determines the end. He's showing us in the spiritual life, in other words, that we can't go down a wrong road and expect to get to the right place. Maybe you remember, I've shared with you in the past, when I was young, growing up, there was a gravel road behind our little town that went out to the property of my friend's place. And he and I would walk out, and it was several miles. And out on that gravel road, there was a fork. To the left went to the town south of us called St. Clair. To the right, maybe 2 more miles, was a dead end. And that was his father's property. That was where we would go. But where that fork was, there was this old rickety sign. I don't even know why they bothered to have a sign out there. But that sign showed that to the left was to St. Clair. And being boys, sometimes we would move that sign. Now, people out there, probably lived out there, probably didn't do any harm because people knew that area. But I always wondered, was there anybody that wasn't from the area that actually went down that gravel road and was trying to figure out, where was I? And how do I get to St. Clair? Oh, there's a sign. But instead of going left, they went right and went to the dead end. You can't go down a wrong road and get to the right place. That's true in life, in general, and that's true in the spiritual life. And Jesus is showing us that in today's gospel. Two wrongs don't make a right. And he's showing that in his example. Do you want to be a disciple of Christ? Then follow the narrow way. That means turn the other cheek. Go the extra mile. Do good to those who persecute you. But that's insane. You're out of your mind. That's what they said to Jesus too. But that's the only way, my friends. Because evil cannot conquer evil. Only good can do that. Two wrongs do not make a right. I love that poem from Robert Frost. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood. And I took the one less traveled by. And that made all the difference. May the Lord give us the grace to do the same.